Hi, I'm Margaret Baldridge, violin and viola professor at the University of Montana in Missoula, and today I'll be demonstrating and talking about how to practice the scales and excerpts for the Montana Viola All-State Audition. So the first scale that you have is a D major scale. Set your metronome to the quarter note equals 92, and you will be slurring 8/16 notes to a bow. So there's 92, 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. Any fingering should work, but I will be using a fingering where you play 4/4/4 at the very top. And of course, if you can't play it at 92 right from the very beginning, just go ahead and practice it slowly until you can play it at that speed. The most important thing is that you slur the 8 notes together on one bow, that you play in tune, and that you play your scales with your very best sound. We should always play our scales with our very best sound, even though they're just a scale. But always use your very best sound on scales and etudes and your pieces, because we want to know that you can play really beautifully. The next scale that you have to do for the audition is a D melodic minor scale, and your quarter note will be set at 80, which is just a little bit slower than the 92. And you're going to be using separate bows, which we call détaché. So it's just your basic back and forth, down and up bow that we use all the time. So this scale I'll demonstrate with a fingering where at the very top I use a 4/4, and then I move my 3 and my 2 up a half a step to play the descending notes. So that fingering is a pretty standard fingering for a minor scale, and just remember that when you get to the very top, you're going to play 4/4, and then your 3 and your 2 are going to move up a half a step, rather than the major scale, which went 4/4/4. But feel free to use any fingering that your teacher gives to you or that you just know from practicing scales. The most important thing when you play your scales is that you ascend and descend in the same key. Hi, the next excerpt that we'll be talking about, and I'll be demonstrating, is the Beethoven Symphony No. 3 excerpt. Your metronome marking is allegro con brio at 50 to the dotted half note, and this is how slow that is. You'll have to subdivide the quarter notes 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and the eighth notes 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, but we feel this piece in 1 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1, and you'll be asked to demonstrate quite a number of things in this excerpt. Dynamics that range from piano to fortissimo, subito forte, which are sudden dynamic changes when you have the SF marking, spiccato, and then a fast passage where I have chosen a fingering to alleviate any string crossings. So I'm doing a parallel fingering so that all 3 notes are on one string. And I think that this will give you the most clean passage if you try to make it so that you don't have any string crossings in that section. And your spiccato just a very gentle spiccato, not spiky, but just kind of a brush stroke. So I will demonstrate this little segment. I hope on the video that you can hear me starting piano, crescendoing to forte. The subito fortes, I'm going to be using a fast bow speed and some vibrato to make those stand out. And then I'll be, in the last 3 bars, playing fortissimo and then ending piano. So here's the Beethoven Symphony No. 3. So the next excerpt is Mozart Symphony No. 35, and this also has a fast tempo marking, and you're going to set the metronome to 110 to 120 to the half note. So we're actually going to feel this excerpt in 2 rather than 4. So here is 120 to the half. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And this excerpt, because you're feeling it in 2, the 8th notes are going to feel fast like 16th notes. And but I think that these will be more on the string. It lets your bow come off the string if it wants to, but you don't have to try to make the 8th notes off the string. So I'm just gonna play this one for you. So that one is pretty scalar. Notice that you want to try to make the end quarter notes in measures like 17, 19 be a little bit lighter and not jabbed. You don't want them to sound like you're accenting those. So, and Mozart is very delicate at times and very fiery at times, and so you really have to think about what your bow is doing to make the style. Notice here on these slurs, I'm kind of lifting to give it a shape. So I'm trying to lift and make air, and even on the quarter notes with the rests in measure 5 and 6, I'm making them have a stylized kind of lift to them rather than just, which sounds more march-like. And so take all of these suggestions that I have given to you for both the excerpts and the scales. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me at margaret.baldridge@ margaret.baldridge@umontana.edu. Thanks for listening, and I wish you good luck with your All-State audition.